everybody. How's it going? This is David Rosen, your host of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie, try to figure out what other movies might have inspired it. And I'm really excited about this one today. We have part 2 of a movie that we did, one of our first episodes. But before we get into that, I just wanted to remind you all, please make sure to rate and review us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you're subscribed to the show. And, please send us some feedback. We want to know what you're thinking about the show. We want to know how you're enjoying it. And also, if you're on Facebook, make sure to join our group, Piecing It Together, a movie discussion group. So that way we can get some good conversations going with you, get some back and forth. We want to know, your thoughts on these movies that we're talking about. And maybe we'll talk about it on the show on your thoughts. So please get involved, join the group, and get in these conversations. But yeah, today we are going to be talking about the epic conclusion to the reunion of Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero in Best Friends Volume 2. Best Friends Volume 1, of course, was the reunion of Tommy and Greg after, what was it, like 15 years or something like that, since they made the cult classic The Room. Just last year, after the book that Greg wrote about his experience got turned into the movie The Disaster Artist, they finally came back together to make a new movie, and we were shocked that it was as good as it was. We loved it. I didn't expect lightning to strike twice, but it did. And you could listen to that episode and get the full story of, what we thought of it and everything. But the big surprise was that there was going to be a part 2, because nobody expected that after all those years that we'd be getting 2 new movies from them. And it really is 2 new movies, because as you'll find out in this episode, Best Friends Volume 2 is a totally different movie. Not just in that it's a separate movie, but I mean, it's a different movie. But, we'll get into that. And returning again as my co-host for this one, he was also the co-host on the first one, is Ryan Daugherty. And we actually did this one right after we both got back from screenings of the movie, real late at night. And it was a really fun one to do. So I think you guys are going to really enjoy this one. All right. So it is Monday, June 4th, and both me and friend of the show, Ryan Daugherty, just got back from our screenings of Best Friends Volume 2, the Fathom Events screening of this work in progress, apparently, of Best Friends Volume 2. And we figured what better time to just jump into this thing than right now after just getting home.
Let's just shoot from the hip and make this shit up the way the film directors did. Because
yeah, exactly.
We shouldn't prepare more to talk about their movie than they did.
Yeah, well, when you texted me and said, "Hey, do you want to do it tonight?" I was thinking, like, there's no way I'm going to prepare anything more with a couple of days of prep time.
That's true.
So
for perspective, this was a live streamed event, so everyone, one of those Fathom events, and Dave texted me like 45 seconds after the credits started rolling with like a "what?" And I was like, yeah, let's just do this right now. Like let's have this be done before midnight and pretend it didn't happen to us.
Oh man. Yeah. I was so very, very excited for this movie, because as we talked about on the last one, Best Friends Volume 1 ended up so much better than I could have ever imagined that it would be.
We gave it a surprisingly positive review at the
end. Yeah. Nobody would have expected the follow-up to The Room to be anything worthwhile, but there it was, and it was awesome. And I right now I still want to go see it again so bad. And this sequel, because the big surprise with part 1 is that it ended up being a 2-parter, and the sequel, it's a different movie. It's a very different movie. Different tone, different everything, really. And I'd say mixed results. I think you were saying that you actually kind of like it more than the first one. Is that right?
I enjoyed watching it more. Is a better way to put it.
Okay.
And I'm sure that will become fleshed out as we talk about things.
Sure, absolutely.
I don't necessarily want to say I think it was better or that I liked it more, but I will say I enjoyed watching it more.
I definitely need to let it sink in some more.
So before we get started, though, with a movie like this, you need a fucking drink after that. So I poured myself a classic from The Room. Those of you who haven't seen The Room, Scotchka, a scotch and vodka. But even worse than that, I had no scotch or vodka. So what we've got here is about a shot and a half of gin and a shot and a half of Irish whiskey, both of which I despise, by the way. So I'm going to down this, and I'm going to struggle to keep it down throughout the duration of the film. And I think it's just going to set the mood really well for a movie like this, of me being on the verge of getting sick for the next 20 minutes or so.
How old are you again?
I'm 26.
26. I think if I had started this podcast when I was 26, I'd be drinking whiskey, gins.
I'm also like 9 feet tall and 500 pounds. So like this is just nightcap. Oh,
yeah,
or as this guy would say in the movie, this puts a little lead in your pencil.
Yeah.
That's a great line. Fantastic line. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to make a toast to the Piecing It Together podcast. And I'm just going to say, if a lot of people loved each other, the world would be a better place.
There you go. Thank you very much. Oh, Jesus. I felt that myself. Oh, my God. Oh, man. I hope we don't lose you before we get to the first puzzle.
No, we're good. I just need a minute. Oh, my God. My face is beet red right now. Ooh. Wow. So all my friends who are listening to the podcast, this is probably the part where you're going to stop listening to it, but mission accomplished in the George W. Bush kind of way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So before we get into these...
I drink pineapple juice.
Sure, absolutely. I'll talk to the people, yeah. But before we get to the puzzle pieces, like I said, right when we just started here, this is not a movie that we really could have done that much preparation for, because it is just so strange and so... just out of control weird. And so I don't know that it's going to necessarily follow our usual
I've got movies.
structure.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
I got 4.
I do have some written down. I have more directors and genres, but then I also have 1 or 2 movies as well. So, we'll see how it goes, but expect it to be a weird episode for sure. And that's if Ryan makes it through it.
Oh no, I'm good. This is the last bit. I'm blowing my nose. I have tears in my eyes.
Get it out, buddy.
My throat is scratchy. I really, really, really don't like whiskey. I can tolerate gin.
What, you kidding? I can't drink this.
Is it Jameson? Yeah, there's Jameson. All right.
Oh, God.
It's Piecing It Together podcast, brought to you by Bombay Sapphire. And Jameson Irish whiskey for the best of times and the worst of times.
Beautiful. So I'm gonna let you go first with your first puzzle piece then.
Alrighty. So first one I'm gonna do a throwback to one of the things I cited last time, but much more specifically. Specifically the movie Psycho. About the movie starts, these people have stolen a bunch of money. They're trying to get away. They're stopping at multiple locations. They have no idea who to trust. Everyone is kind of suspicious and maybe a murderer. Like when they first get to like a hotel area, it seems like maybe there's something wrong with the hotel because it's very creepy. And they go to a ranch and the other people on the ranch, it seems like, oh, you can't really trust them. And since the movie in general just kind of has Hitchcockian vibes, which large parts of the first one did. Sorry, still... The bourbon's fighting back.
Oh, no.
No, I'm not going to get sick, but like you're definitely going to have a lot more coughing than usual on these podcasts. But yeah, so a lot of the time, I very specifically felt like I was watching an homage to Psycho in some way, which especially works with, how weird Tommy's character is and stuff like that, and the things that happen with the uncle and stuff like that. I don't really have a lot to go into that because it's very much just there are a lot of similar plot points to this, especially with how it's established in the beginning. But I think it's a good callback to the first episode where I cited Hitchcock movies in general So
Mhm.
now I finally get to narrow it down. And the first one, it
Beautiful.
was sort of Vertigo. This one, it's sort of Psycho. And most importantly, I haven't seen either of those films. So the
Yes,
trend
beautiful.
continues.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. And by the way, in the theater, I actually did think Psycho because of that one scene when they're pulling up to the bed and breakfast, and that weird bed and breakfast guy who has the line of the movie is looking out the
Yes.
window, and that was like total
Just like
Psycho.
staring. Yeah, that's very Psycho. I think I've seen the Vince Vaughn Psycho, actually.
Oh my
Not the real one. I definitely have now that I think about it.
That's amazing.
All right,
So,
so what do you got to start us off?
yeah, my first puzzle piece, and you know what? I don't have my notes in front of me. I don't remember if I said this on the other one, but certainly this one
Sure.
more than the first one. Anyway, the Coen brothers.
Yeah,
Just
you
Coen.
said you said like a simple plan for,
Yeah, I did.
or Blood
Okay.
Simple or whatever for the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but Coen Brothers even more so this time.
Yes.
This time around, you have like every scene has another weird character with like really great character actors doing really strange things, and
Yes, this movie
yeah,
definitely kind of cemented the thing from part one. In part one, there were times you weren't sure if it was bad actors or bad writing or what. This
right,
makes it very clear, this movie, that the directors and the writers gave these guys the material and said, fucking run with it. And that was
yeah,
actually something I really liked about it. Like every character, even if it was bad acting, or bad writing that they were working with, it was enjoyable as hell to watch them be like bizarro, yeah, like Coen Brothers-y type people. I
yeah,
know I don't want us to cite David Lynch because we did a lot last time as well,
sure,
but
yeah.
also the same kind of thing of just the bizarro, surreal characters. Who just
Another Coen Brothers thing is that this, while there were so many questions raised in part one that we're looking for the answers for in part two, I'd say we get more questions in part two than we get answers of
yes.
anything, and certainly not being given clear cut answers is very much a Coen Brothers type of a thing to happen. And yeah, right now, I mean, is Tommy a knight? Is I mean, those pictures at the end made me think he may have been around since the Dark Ages.
Right, because
I
like
mean,
the Black Dahlia murders
yeah,
was in like
and yeah,
was in like the mid 40s, and the implication is that like he was like a 20-year-old dude who was like engaged to Elizabeth Short, I think was her name, and then she died, and then he went on for the next 90 years since then or whatever. That like just and he's and at first when we saw that, my friends and I tried to be like, oh wait, maybe part of the twist is that Best Friends actually takes place like in the 80s or something like that, and then we were like, no, they have iPhones and we're using GPS tracking.
right,
Like
yeah,
it literally just says
especially
Tommy
the
is like
girlfriend
you know though,
with,
I didn't even
with her
consider
mall phone case.
I didn't consider the possibility that like that was supposed to actually be like a picture of Tommy. Like they didn't have pictures in medieval times, so that doesn't make sense. But the idea of Tommy has been like kicking it since the 1600s, just picking up hobos and teaching them life lessons. Like sounds like that should be its own. Like that's like an anthology, like Crypt Keeper kind of movie. Like just a
Yeah, it's a cinematic universe. It's
yeah.
just different, and each time it's got to be Greg playing the hobo, and but just in different
Oh
centuries.
shit! Are we citing Cloud Atlas as an inspiration right now? Because I haven't seen Cloud Atlas, so I will
Well,
gladly cite it as a reference.
you know what? Fuck it. I'm putting Cloud Atlas on the list, right?
Cloud Atlas is on the list because we now think this is like an infinite cycle of reincarnation between Greg atoning for some past sins and Tommy being burdened as his like guardian angel or something.
If we ever get Greg Sestero on part three of this show,
Yes.
I will leave Cloud Atlas off
Yes.
because we know that's not right, but it's definitely going on the official
It's
list.
absolutely going on the podcast. Yeah,
Better
when we
believe
get
it.
Greg, I think we have. If we get Greg, and I think we should continue my approach of just trying to start a low key Twitter war with Greg in the hopes that it causes him to come on this podcast just to tell me to shut the fuck up, which is a good plan. Because I'm still taking
Beautiful.
credit for inspiring him to write part one, and
Of
nothing
course.
besides him will stop that. But first thing we got to ask 100% was that really photos of young Tommy Wiseau? in the film. I think that's definitively the first thing is, are these actual photos of Tommy from 30 years ago that they used as like the long time ago photos? And then the second thing is, was Tommy in this fucking movie? Because the entire goddamn movie, and I'm going to do my next puzzle piece right now, which is fucking Get Out. And that's for two reasons. And one of them is because Tommy wears a goddamn knight's helmet on his head the entire fucking movie. That's not the only reason I'm citing Get Out, but that's definitely two movies in the past 2 years about a crazy white dude with long hair putting on a knight's helmet and just fucking shit up in modern day times. Like, God
wow, I did not see that one coming, and I love it.
But you've seen Get Out, right?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So I'm going to start with that. But so my theory is definitely just that, like, Tommy was not around as much for the filming of this, and that's why he's wearing the helmet the entire time, and that's why he's got masks on the whole movie, is just because it was like stand-ins the whole time. Like they Brandon Lee and the crowed him kind of thing of just like he did some dubs, and otherwise there's just some stand-in in a wig in the middle, like wearing like ballistics combat gear in the middle of the hot Arizona desert with a knight's helmet on, having to like bobble his head back and forth in time to like pre-recorded Tommy Wiseau lines. And I'm
just picturing, God, the balls to make a Tommy Wiseau basically movie and not have him in it.
I do think I've heard though that this was supposed to be one movie.
Right,
and then they just ended up having to split it in half, more or less. And I'm sure they had to make some, strategic concessions for that. But I wonder if originally it was going to be a lot more distributed, and instead they had to go this flashback style.
I'm wondering. I was just gonna say, I'm wondering if they were cutting it down and it was just a little too long, and so they said, "Fuck it, let's film a bunch of stuff without Tommy and make a second part."
Sure, I think
let's cut a little bit out of part one and shove it into a part two with a whole bunch of new footage. Which I mean, technically that is kind of what a sequel is, but you know what I mean. Aside from reusing unused footage, but. But still, I definitely think that may have been what happened here, for better or worse.
That I didn't consider that, but that sounds likely. So the other reason I cited Get Out was just for the vibes with the uncle on the ranch. The whole like this movie, so when I describe Get Out to people, everyone always talks about like what a great actor the main guy in it was, and I always have to counter that with 80% of his job in Get Out was nodding and laughing awkwardly at things people said and going like, yeah, like that's what Get Out was like 100%. A great movie, but like, the main character, great actor, he just laughed and said, yeah, a lot. And I get that that's probably what being around white people is like, but still, there was so much of that in this movie because the uncle was just balls to the wall, is insane. And it would just be like, hey, did I ever tell you about this time I was in high school and I played football? And then also, did I tell you about this fat chick I fucked? That was pretty cool. We wrestled. I'm stronger than her. I'm so strong. Are you strong? Let me just get a pump on right now. And then Greg would just be like, yeah. And like there's scenes where like it looks like the uncle's insane and you're just like, oh, I know I can't trust anyone here, but I haven't figured out why I can't trust anyone.
Right. You're absolutely right about that.
And to the director's credit and the actor's credit, so immediately when she starts getting the phone calls, it's very obvious she's going to betray him and that the person who she's calling is not who she says he is. Sure. But within 15 minutes, the actor playing the uncle was so committed to how bizarro the uncle was that I actually stopped and went, I think I'm wrong. Like, I think he actually is just her weird fucking uncle.
Right, just a weirdo, but he's cool.
But he's not. And I was like, because originally the obvious thing is like, oh, she's calling her real boyfriend. And then when he first shows up, I'm like, oh, that might still be true. But after like 15 minutes, like especially... there's the scene where he makes the drink and says like, put lead in your pencil. And you're like, oh shit, this is the moment where he's going to drug Greg and then they're going to run away with the money. And then he wakes up the next morning and you're like, oh, all right. And like, once that happens, I'm on board with, I guess this is just her weird uncle. I also want to clarify, in my head canon, he really is her uncle. Like, this is not like her boyfriend pretending to like be her uncle for the sake of the scheme. This is like some just dude who fucks his niece and is like, hey, why don't we rob people? Like let's double down on how many of the 10 commandments we can like break at once. Like, I don't know if incest is on the 10 commandments, but it's probably like number 11 if it didn't make the cut for the top 10.
Sure.
Like it was one of like the 5 Mel Brooks dropped in History of the World. It was like, don't fuck your niece and Greg Sestero. Like,
I'm sure Tommy is somewhere in those commandments as well.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I wonder, actually, though, now that you're mentioning Tommy, I wonder if, because so much of the shit in this movie could be taken as an allegory for the Tommy and Greg relationship. And it's really hard to tell what is and what isn't. Like, when we walked out of the theater, my friend said, so was Greg pushing Tommy off the cliff a metaphor for releasing the disaster artist? And I was like, oh, shit. Maybe it was. Because if that's the case, then the uncle is definitely an allegory for the weird, creepy homoerotic overtones that Tommy allegedly had with Greg. If you remember that from the disaster artist, where they always were like, yeah, Tommy's just like a little bit of also a little bit of a Bryan Singer right there. But apologize, Bryan Singer is my favorite director, but I'm also not a big fan of fucking little boys. So, Usual Suspects was good. I don't know if it was that good. So, but yeah, so I that could be an explanation for why that character was the way he was. And I only just thought of that right now.
That's hilarious. Another thing I was thinking, along with the idea of how much of it is allegory for their relationship, I was also wondering, we all know this is inspired by a true story about a road trip they took together. Like,
yes, where Greg thought Tommy was going to murder him.
Yeah, what parts exactly were that road trip? Like
the part where they drove to Vegas?
Yeah, the part where they were in a car? Like, I mean, what else? What else of this story happened in their real life road trip?
Oh my god, yeah, that's like this is like Greg's like cry for help that he's like in the interviews, like, Greg, blink 4 times if Tommy is holding you against your will. And instead he just writes a whole script about all those things. Oh my god. All right, you got another movie to cite?
Sure. Well, this one I was just gonna say Westerns, just as a genre. In general, definitely, like, I don't think this one was as well shot as the first one, which that also lends to this being not really split off from the first one and being something they went and shot after the fact. But it still is, with that setting of the desert and all these like small desert towns and stuff like that, just kind of gives that Western feel. Then also just the whole mystery of
Greg being like a silent protagonist and stuff too. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Good point. That's a good point too.
While you're talking about how well it's shot, can we talk about that? There was clearly a moment where the director said, hey, these cameras work pretty good in the dark, right? And the guy in charge of the cameras said, nah, should we get ones that work good in the dark? And the director said, no, I don't think anyone will notice. Like, there was like, and the first one, that was a big problem with it too, was every time the cameras went outside, there was a marked drop in quality. I will say, I think these outdoor scenes were filmed better than the outdoor scenes in the first one.
Yeah, because there were some pretty bad ones in the first one. There were some weird ones in this one though, like when they were driving in the dark and you would see like stars in the darkness, but like I guess there were city lights.
Are you talking about the weird lens flares?
But
that would like appear in the top right corner of the camera?
No, not. They weren't like lens flares. They were more like a dozen little bright stars. Like, I don't know. It was really strange.
I definitely noticed that. What's the word? Like bokeh or whatever. Like the
bokeh like was bokeh. Very weird. They did a lot of that. They did a lot of that.
There was a lot. I don't think it was on purpose though. But yeah, I was definitely impressed though by the amount of times they would do like let's do a pullback like drone footage type of thing.
Oh yeah, a lot of drone footage. It
seemed, and then there was the random bit of GoPro footage when like Greg killed himself or whatever. Hey, real quick, while we're talking about Greg killing himself, and that reminds me, he landed on a lemon tree. So I'm just gonna throw out a brief plug for lemon stealing whore as an inspiration. Are you aware of what lemon stealing whore is?
I do not know what that is.
Do you actually not know what lemon stealing whore is, or are you just refusing to admit it on camera?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, so it's a meme. I'm not actually super familiar with it, but there's a porno that's like very popular on the internet where the premise of why he's having sex with the girl is because she stole lemons from his lemon tree. And then multiple times he goes, "You lemon stealing whore," and it's like that's a quote people will say to each other. But like there's just one great scene where like he's with the other girl, and then they're both like, "Let's just turn around and look away from our lemon tree for 45 seconds and hope nothing bad happens." And that's verbatim what they say. And then the lemon stealing whore sneaks in and steals all the lemons and makes some eyes at the camera for a minute. And I feel like that uncle would fit so well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
With that movie, because he like grabs the lemons from the trees a couple times, because lemons are like a weird motif in this movie. It's like the way apples are in The Room. Is there's lemons on the trees that stop him from killing himself, because when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade.
I need to see these movies again.
Tommy,
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah. So like 5 times So first of all, I think the song that was playing on the record has the word lemons in it.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think I did hear that.
And then Tommy has lemons, and at one point he says like, "When life hands you lemons, you make lemonades," and he's like holding lemons. When Greg lands on, like when he jumps to kill himself, and like it looked like he was jumping off a bridge to kill himself in a river, but then he clearly landed like in the middle of a forest on a tree. I think I missed something there, but that's a lot what it looked like. I believe there was a lemon next to him when he got up, and that there may have been lemons in the tree as well. And it just seemed like that was the recurring motif of like, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, which like I don't remember that being very present in the first one as like a weird motif.
Well, you want to know what was going through my mind at that point? Was that the fact that they were going to show what happened that led him to be on the side of the road, bloody under that lemon tree at the beginning of the first one. I thought this was going to be some weird like loop thing, like an Inside Llewyn Davis, like the movie is like a constant,
like he's in purgatory or something.
Yeah, like a purgatory type thing, a constant loop. And yeah, so I basically just wrote an entire movie in my head, like for a minute or two after that, until I think something came and just snapped me out.
You know what though? I was actually in a very similar boat where about like 15 minutes into the movie, I turned, and the theater was pretty empty, so like I was able to talk reasonably loud. And I turned to my friends and I said, "I swear to fucking God, if it turns out Tommy and Greg are the same person, I'm gonna punch someone." Because I like definitely was like, you know what it was? It was when he was sitting in the motel, and he had a couple weird flashbacks where suddenly he was covered with blood again, and then he wasn't covered with blood again.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh shit, what if like Greg is like an alternate personality of Tommy that couldn't like cope with something, and this is his way of like giving him a fresh start, and he's just been like Tommy hasn't been real this whole goddamn time. And I was trying to think, like, were the three of them ever on camera together? I think they were, but for a minute I was like, I swear to God, they better not be the same person. Like
and that would have been such a easy thing to do, but I'm glad they didn't do it though.
Yeah.
So what's your next puzzle piece?
Saw, actually. So specifically referring to every scene where it cuts to like Greg handcuffed to the spiral staircase, and essentially Tommy's monologue is, "You wasted your life and you betrayed the people who cared about you. I'm going to judge you, and then we're going to determine what we're going to do with you." And that is straight Jigsaw, like 100%.
Sure.
Especially because for most of the movie, you don't know if Tommy's the good guy or the bad guy in this situation.
Right.
They show there's syringes, and like at some point he like almost literally I think says like, "What are we gonna do with you, Greg?" Like, and he says like, life handed you lemons, and I tried to make you lemonade and stuff. And it's very much like the original Saw. When you
say it so sinister when you say it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. We're going to make some lemonade. But that's how I'm going to pick up women from now on, too, with that line. But the way he sort of says that and trails off, you don't know what's up. And like in the original Saw, like I think one of the guys he tortures straight up is someone who had like tried to kill themselves. And he was like, "If you don't find life precious," let's see if I can... If you don't, no, there's no way I can do the Saw voice, but I will try anyway, and it won't come through. "If you don't find your life precious,
you just have to sit here and not fucking do anything. But that would be a really boring movie. So try crawl out of here through this barbed wire, you piece of shit.
I'm pretty sure that's how it went in Saw 1.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. That being said, if they're looking for writers for Saw 17, I am on board. I don't think we're at 17 yet, but that's good. It gives me time to prepare.
It gives you a little bit of time, right?
Yeah, more than I prepared for this interview, obviously. Interview as if this is like I'm the special guest, and you're like, well, Ryan. I
paid good money for you.
I'm definitely the lemons that are being handed to you right now for this podcast. But hardcore Saw vibes for that entire thing, especially because and the flashbacks as well, because like Saw told a lot of the Saw movies tell their sequence in someone's chained to something, someone is lecturing them on their life. Let's cut back and forth and show how they got to this moment. And then there's like the big twist. And in this case, the twist is Tommy bought a house.
Yeah.
Also, he bought it with Greg's money, though, right? Like with his.
I'm not sure about that either. I was just so watching in awe at that whole ending, and plus the fact that Paul Scheer was in it, which just took it to a whole nother level.
And that would make sense, because that was probably filmed on the same day that the other scenes with Paul Scheer from Part 1 were filmed, which is why
right.
Tommy was there. But
God, it was just so weird. I don't know what money that was.
That he had said hey, what was your dream? My dream is to go back to my childhood home. And then he took his half of the money and bought it. And I just want to talk about how that's not what friends do. Because Dave, let's just do a hypothetical situation. You and I we each make $40,000 off of this episode of the podcast because Tommy is clearly paying us. And we're sitting around drunk in Vegas, and you go hey, Ryan, what's your dream? And I'm like, my dream would be to have 15 corgis and 9,000 pounds of Sour Patch Kids. And if you then took my $40,000 and bought me 15 corgis and 9,000 pounds of Sour Patch Kids, I would not be happy with you.
You'd be a little upset
because I could have bought it myself with the $40,000. Also, he's homeless. He's bleeding. There's bills he needs to pay, and now suddenly he's house poor. Because do you own a house?
Yes.
Oh, okay, right. And there's that moment when you first get a house where you're like, this is cool, I've got a house, but now I have no money, right? That was the gift he gave to Greg. Is hello, man who has been homeless for 30 years, who then just got his hands on a bunch of money. Here is a home in the suburbs. You don't have a car, by the way, but welcome to your house. And, you're going to have to deal with rent payments, with electric bills. I hope you know how to, fix sinks and mow lawns, because, welcome to... And he signed him up for fucking college. And is we're going to junior college next week.
You just went through all this shit, and now you go get learning.
Right.
Go get to it.
What the fuck, man?
And you know what I just thought of though is the brilliance of Greg's writing. That until this second right now, I thought the whole buying a house thing was Tommy's idea. It feels so Tommy Wiseau.
Yes,
but
I know what
Greg Sestero wrote it, right?
But it's very much in the vein of The Room, where Tommy just gives and gives and gives, and he's a nice guy who's very misunderstood, right?
He wrote the perfect Tommy ending.
Yes, absolutely. If it was gonna be a happy ending ish, that's a Tommy ending for sure. And Greg
gets some credit for that for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. That I seriously, in my mind as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is so Tommy, but not this is so Tommy that Greg wrote. This is Tommy wrote Tommy. This ending and directed this ending. You know what I mean?
One thing I do want to talk about in this scene is I'm 80% sure that Paul Scheer's contract stipulated that he had to have a scene where he puts his arms around Tommy's shoulders and they cackle together. Because
and what did he say? He said, Tommy goes, "It's your dream come true, right?" And he's supposed to be talking to Greg's character, but I think he's talking to Paul Scheer.
No, there's definitely a moment where Paul chimes in when no one's talking to him. It's while he's walking away over his shoulder, he's like, "You bet it is." but like it's very conspicuous that like he's about to walk away, but instead he just, you know, right? Because like I don't hang out with that many realtors, but if I didn't know one and he just like me and my friend were laughing and smiling because he just bought my first house for me, and the crippling realization of adult responsibilities hasn't quite hit me yet, and the realization that my friend spent all of my money hasn't quite hit me yet. I would just like, hey, yeah, I've got a house. Hey, best friend, you bought me this house. Hey, realtor, you sold him this house. Ha 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 ha. And like in my theater, everyone laughed along with that. But not like in the like, haha, we're laughing, this is funny. Like we all did the ha 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 ha. Like we're joining in on this too. And I definitely think that, and like Paul Scheer was looking right at the camera and smiling ear to ear while he was doing it. So I definitely think
must have been
was, like,
so fucking happy.
Was like,
yeah, he must have been so happy. Just smile all day long after he left that set.
Because I gotta assume they've done The Room on How Did This Get Made before.
Oh yeah, they did. It's one of his favorite movies.
Sure,
yeah, and they did. So, yeah, they did it, and they did The Disaster Artist as well.
Him and his wife were both in The Disaster Artist.
Yep.
Who is also? Jason Mantzoukas was also.
He was in
all
it too.
Three of them, from How Did This Get Made, were in Disaster Artist. I haven't put that together until right now.
Just amazing.
I forgot Jason was in that. I love Jason. But yeah, so that I was really happy Paul Scheer showed up again, just for a moment. And that picture they used of him was a pretty perfect one too for his like thumbnail or whatever. Like it was, I definitely hope that like was like the mugshot he used to use or the headshot he used to use back in like his Human Giant days or something.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I thought it was like a little on the nose.
Yes.
But then when they showed it again and again, I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, come on, yes.
No, once you see it in the context of him smiling trying to sell it home. Also, I love the way he just like picked up the house for sale sign and then walked away. Like it wasn't like his car was right in front of there. Like, you know,
that was very Stella that moment.
Yes, yeah. He's like very much like, if there's one thing I like to do as a real estate agent, it's park 5 blocks down. But in my mind, that was actually because like Paul Scheer's character was like a genie or something, or like if the camera held on him for like 45 more seconds, he was gonna like fade away into the dust or something, and it was gonna be like his last mission was completed, like just a mischievous little like. And with that, Greg Sestero found the one thing he'd been looking for all along. Maybe he didn't have his family anymore, but he certainly had a family. And then he just winks and then blows away in the woods or something like that. God damn it, that movie.
All right, so my next puzzle piece is actually my favorite movie of all time. It is Adaptation.
Yes, okay. Which I still haven't seen.
And yeah, you haven't? Okay.
No, well, I love Nicolas Cage. For context, I'm going to do a plug right now. July 14th, everyone should watch Con Air and The Wicker Man back to back, because that's certainly what I will be doing for Cage Fest 2018, always thrown on the week of July 14th, because that's the day it's his daughter's birthday, July 14th. So when in doubt,
I would love to go to that.
No, it's literally just a bunch of people in their houses watching movies. But that's
really? Okay, I'm doing
watch Con Air on the 14th, and you always watch Wicker Man last. So if you're only doing a one night event, you do those two together. I'll hook you up with a T-shirt. I'll talk to you about it later. Wow. I've got like 9 Cage Fest shirts, and I still haven't seen Adaptation.
Well, a very small spoiler for Adaptation, but. So aside from just the tone, which reminded me a little bit of it, there's 2 specific scenes that completely reminded me of it. One was the final scene of The Girlfriend, Tracy. Reminded me of Meryl Streep's final scene in Adaptation.
Okay.
Just screaming at the main character, Nicolas Cage. So that scene totally just reminded me of that, which is such a great moment to me. But then also Uncle Rick reminded me totally of a cross between John LaRoe, which is what's his name, Chris Cooper's character in Adaptation, and Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh my God, Uncle Rico! Oh my God,
it's kind of a cross.
So I'm not like super
2.
into Napoleon Dynamite, so like I kind of like put that movie down. But oh my God, that is so Uncle Rico. Like we could do a whole episode just on comparing that uncle character to other.
He's so many great characters rolled into one.
And I gotta look up that dude. and try find some like bat.
He's definitely the standout of this movie between him and the bed and breakfast guy.
Yes,
they're the two standouts.
Bed and breakfast guy was pretty fantastic. And this was kind of the equivalent of, there was that character in the first one who was like 4 different businessman stereotypes rolled into one. The dude who brought the hookers to like the mortuary, because that's what you do. And he was like simultaneously the dude who's not looking up and is typing on his BlackBerry, and also the mob guy, and also the sleazy film producer guy. Like he was like all 3 of those at once. And I think Crazy Uncle Rico was definitely a better take on that. I would go so far as to say, fuck it, let's just put it in Napoleon Dynamite, just because of how much Uncle Rico really does. Like that's like Uncle Rico after he finally snaps, basically.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. All right, I'm adding it to the list.
Yeah, fuck it.
What is your next real puzzle piece then?
So those three were my main ones for sure. Was Saw, Get Out, and Psycho. So let me think. I've been trying to think of a good brotherhood movie, or a movie where like there's a very, very one-sided friendship. And nothing is super jumping out at me. I'm just thinking of Greg's fighting moves now and trying to see if I can think of like a great bad fighting movie to cite that as an example for. For all the scenes of just people traveling in the desert, maybe I would cite the Daft Punk movie that literally just consisted of robots walking in the desert for 2 hours.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, they made like an art house film, I want to say like 15 years ago, and like 80% of it is just shots of like Nevada deserts and the 2 dudes walking through it. There's like a lot of walking in that movie.
I don't even know that this exists.
Yeah, it definitely.
I'm putting it on the list.
Yeah, check it out. I haven't seen it, of course, but I've fast forwarded through it on YouTube before, because I've told that's the way to watch it if you're not gonna like drop acid and watch it or something. And I've never done acid before, but I feel like if I did, my first time wouldn't want to be watching robots walking through the desert, because like also there's a plot, they oh my god, no, it's totally this movie, because you know another plot point of it is so it's like a world where everyone in the world is one of the 2 robots from Daft Punk, and there are 2 who don't fit in, so they print human faces, like they make face masks and put them on their faces to pretend to be humans, and they just walk around like that for a while, and all the other robots are like, you're so weird, you're wearing a mask, and then the masks melt in the heat, and then they just walk into the desert and kill themselves. So look up what it's called. Weird. But now that I remember the mask thing, and this is literally like I Wikipedia'd this movie in like 10th grade, and I think like my brother and I watched like 4 clips of it on YouTube just to like get the gist of what was going on. But definitely because of the mask thing, cite the Daft Punk movie in the description, because that is officially my next suggestion. And
beautiful.
There's camaraderie between the 2 brothers, the 2 robots too. So yeah, fuck it. That's this is just straight up a remake of that now. Never mind. And if we,
real quick before my next puzzle piece, speaking of Daft Punk, the music in this one was, I think, better. I think it was better than the first one, but I could be wrong here. I'd have to like look up credits or whatever. I know this is a work in progress. I could swear some of that music is not original. It was
like temp music, yes, 100%.
Because there was one piece that I'm almost certain was from Sicario.
From Sicario. Okay, maybe that's not what I was thinking of then.
Which one are you
thinking
thinking
of? The super hokey music when he's left alone in the motel room and she leaves for the phone call, and it suddenly sounds like a horror movie set in like steampunk England or something like that. It's like.
It was great. I love that piece.
Yeah, that was so bizarro. Like it was like they were trying to get at carnival weird, but I don't think they hit it at all.
Yeah, I don't know. That was really strange. I liked it though. But yeah, overall, I think they did a better job with the music on this one. But I am very curious of whether or not it was all original, because the first one you could tell it was just a guy from a band who was trying to score a movie, whereas this one kind of was like, for the most part, except for like that piece you just mentioned, it was much more film score-ish for the most part. There was still some of that
I did notice
but...
that there were multiple credits for the music in the credits. And one I'm pretty sure was the name of the dude who's like the drummer from Imagine Dragons or something like that, like last time. But then at the bottom there was also a credit for like what looked like a group. It may have been the name of like the production company that he used or something. But I definitely remember multiple people being credited.
Speaking of the credits, did you notice the line producer was Mark Damon?
No, really?
Yeah. So I wonder if there's no actual line producer and they just
because like a line producer's job is just the guy who keeps shit together, right? Like keeps things running.
Right. Yeah.
And the credits were over quick. Like it was like 20 people on.
Yeah, it was very short.
Which I'm actually happy about. Like sometimes you see these movies that look like seem pretty ghetto, but like still like 100 people worked on it. I would be very interested in comparing the production credits between the two movies to see if there was a lot of differences, like you implied, that maybe there was reshoots and they went back in and put in a lot of stuff. What I would really love, this isn't the case, but if like they didn't even tell Tommy about the reshoots, so just he's watching the movie for the first time and there's like a subplot with like a Mexican rapist who turns into Two-Face. Which is great because I don't know if you've seen that clip of Tommy doing his Joker.
Who gets racist stereotypes.
Oh, it definitely was.
For no reason.
Though, they did include that thing in the beginning of, there was the interview with TMZ at the beginning, and Greg described the movie as what? Breaking Bad meets what?
Nightcrawler.
And I actually thought that was a great description. That was that
was pretty good.
I've seen Breaking Bad. I know what Nightcrawler is. I actually thought like that was a surprisingly succinct description, especially for what they were trying to get at.
I had those written down. Actually, I was going to mention those towards the end, but yeah, they're both great examples that should be added to the list for sure because they both fit.
Hey, if Greg doesn't show up on the podcast, we can just cite him for those too. And include him anyway.
We'll just say that he told us those directly.
Yeah, we've gotten in with TMZ. It's called arriving. 45 seconds before the movie starts at a Fathom event. It's just an inside.
So I
between you and
so I only have one more. I only have one more puzzle piece. My last one is Quentin Tarantino.
Oh my god, I was thinking Natural Born Killers, but I haven't seen that, so I didn't cite it.
So yeah, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with the reasons why the Coen brothers, but specifically more the dialogue with this, which I think was written. These characters, like for being like little, like there's like a character per scene, kind of, except for Uncle Rick. They all are pretty well fleshed out for being such a ridiculous little movie. And they all have like these quirks and these character traits, and and I mean,
in a lot of ways,
there's a lot of great little one-liners.
A lot of road trip movies, right? Like a lot of those comedy road, like a Harold and Kumar type movie or whatever, like where it's just every scene. It's fuck it. I'll even go with exactly Harold and Kumar for an example of that. Of just like of just every scene, there's a new super zany person. And I definitely, I felt that the biggest disconnect for the characters for me, away from being something Quentin Tarantino-y, like you were saying, was like, there was still so much of the, like, there's dead air before a character starts talking, stuff that, like, I wonder, like, it may have been bad acting, or it may have just been editing making the acting seem worse than it was. Like, I feel like they could have and should have gotten something better out of the weird motel guy. It seemed like he was capable of that. And the lines he had were very funny and very memorable, but the fact that there was like weird pauses before everything he said and everyone responding to him, it just seemed like that made everything seem a little more childish, and it made amateurish. And it made the things that were intended to be zany sometimes just come across as amateurish instead of unprofessional instead of zany.
And I wonder if the reason they're like that, it could very well be exactly that, but it also kind of felt like, and I don't want to put the film down because I did really enjoy it, but like, less talented version of like the Coen brothers or Quentin Tarantino,
Sure.
with those long takes and like long drawn out scenes, where they really take their time with things. And but it's just with them, you're talking about some of the greatest writers, directors, and actors ever doing that. Whereas this, it's, a little bit of a different caliber.
I have been trying to think of like a modern day Bonnie and Clyde type movie to compare it to, but I really wasn't familiar with any recent ones. Can you think of any recent movies that sort of have that? I guess they don't have to be recent, but movies newer than Bonnie and Clyde that sort of have that aspect.
Right.
And that's why I was under the impression that Natural Born Killers was basically just if Quentin Tarantino did Bonnie and Clyde. I don't know if that's an accurate description or not. That's why I didn't cite it, but I was trying to think. Right.
Well, that's not Tarantino.
No,
that's
he wrote it, didn't he?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
I think he wrote it, and Oliver Stone directed it. I think
Oliver Stone directed it.
It may have been one of those ones where it got like rewritten a lot.
Right.
But I mean, I actually like Tarantino as a writer much better than as a director. So that actually seems like maybe the kind of
I love him regardless.
I am so dead in the target audience of people who should adore Quentin Tarantino, and he just doesn't do anything for me. I made it through Django, and that's about it.
Well, I will say Django is probably my least favorite of his movies. I don't know why everybody loves it so much.
Like mainstream accessible type one.
That might be why. That is weird, but
I normally like weirdness in movies, but it always just feels very masturbatory with him. I mean, it probably actually is with him, but I mean, I mean, you give me something like fucking Dusk Till Dawn, best of both worlds for me. Tarantino's writing, Rodriguez's directing. I'm on board all day. I got to rewatch Dusk Till Dawn. That's a great movie. I don't think I've seen it since I was a kid. Kids should not watch From Dusk Till Dawn. And I think it was like,
I watched it a lot.
I think it was like I saw Spy Kids and then I saw Dusk Till Dawn. I was like, oh, this is the same guy.
Nice.
Nice. That's amazing. Oh, now I want to tie it to a Robert Rodriguez movie just because I feel like I haven't brought him up on this podcast yet, and I should give him some love.
You'll get your chance. I don't think you're gonna do it with
Shark
this
Boy
one.
and Lava Girl.
Yeah, there you go. It's a little. I'm putting it on the list.
Oh man.
So I think we're at our finished puzzle here. So let me read down the list here. We got Coen Brothers films. We got Harold and Kumar. We got the Daft Punk movie. We got Quentin Tarantino films. We got Napoleon Dynamite, Saw, Psycho, Adaptation, Western films, Cloud Atlas, and Get Out. And then also we will take Greg's choices and put Breaking Bad and Nightcrawler.
It's called Daft Punk Presents Electrorama. No, Electrama. Slightly different. Electroma, basically.
Okay.
And it's 2006.
I got it written down
here. About two robots who want to become human. Movie has been criticized for mostly being walking scenes in the desert. Actually, this story, the film ends with the robot completely on fire, walking in slow motion through the darkness. That seems like the kind of thing that if Tommy could have found a way to put that in this movie, like a scene of a dude on fire walking through the night, they would have.
Absolutely.
I thought I remembered that. I misremembered that the scene showing the flames in the preview for attached to part one actually had a guy on fire. So if that was the case, I would just say, fuck it, this is a remake of Electrama. Like, oh man, I the more and more, like, this is just Electrama meets Harold and Kumar. That's all it is. We're done. Like,
there you go. Electroma meets Harold and Kumar.
We'll have a thing
with Uncle Rico.
We'll pick like a Saturday, and then we'll both start Electrama at the same time, and we'll see who lasts longer. Because apparently it's a slog.
Perfect.
I'll get some friends over. We'll all just wear robot costumes and drink motor oil or something.
I can't wait. So to wrap this one up, because it's actually, I can't believe it's gone this long with no preparation, no notes, no anything. I think this has gone incredible.
We did not say it was inspired by The Room, because it very much was not this one.
I know this one was very different from The Room,
Brotherhood and a lot of callbacks to The Room and stuff like that, and that makes me sort of wonder if maybe originally, if the whole Saw aspect of the movie was always part of it when it was intended to be one movie. If originally those segments were going to start much earlier. You know what I'm saying? Like it was going to be more of an even distribution of you're seeing Tommy threatening Greg, who's tied to a chair, but also then it cuts to the two of them in Vegas drunk setting off fireworks. And you're like, how did it all go wrong?
I feel like if this movie does even a little bit okay, once it comes out on DVD and all that, I feel like 10 years from now we might get like another cut or something, like not a director's cut, but like a writer's cut. I was in my
mind actually thinking, like, if I wanted to try combine this into one movie, how would I do that? And I was trying to think, like, because I think if you just took the best parts of the first one, which is the bromance and the callbacks, they wouldn't fit organically in with like any of what we see in this movie. So I don't really know, but I'd be very interested in that, like a 3-hour combined cut.
Well, that being said, how did you like Best Friends Volume 2?
I had a lot of fun watching it. I was walking into it. I was really, really excited by the fact that the commercial at the end of Part 1 made it seem like the cinematic equivalent of a fever dream. And it was. I was really worried that the movie was going to be mostly another straightforward, average thriller kind of movie, and that they just took like 5 scenes out of context and mashed them together to make it look trippy at the end. But no, it did have long stretches of just bizarre interactions, but I think this movie justified the bizarre interactions a lot more. It benefited a lot from the flashback structure of you were never on one thing for too long, which kind of can be a problem with these types of movies. I enjoyed almost every aspect of it more. And if you listen to the first one of the first things I said was that my friends who watched the movie as a spiritual successor to The Room were disappointed. Myself, who watched it as a spiritual successor to Tommy and Greg, I was not disappointed. And I think that carries a lot more in a lot of ways to this movie of maybe it's not so much a spiritual successor to Tommy and Greg because they're not on camera as much, but it is just batshit manic energy. And I think it's like I would much rather watch this one at a bad movie night than the first one.
So I'm a little different. I think I would prefer the first one only because there's more Tommy.
That's
and the Tommy stuff still, even in this one, is some of the best stuff, except for Uncle Rick is a beautiful addition to the Tommy Wiseauniverse.
Maybe if we can't get Greg, let's try to get that guy. Like fucking
he's amazing. He's great. And
like it's not always that hard to get non-famous people to agree to do a podcast interview. Like if this is like one of the
what's he doing?
Like, he's probably on IMDb. He's probably got a Twitter. Fuck it. Maybe I'll.
I'm gonna tweet at him for sure. You do it too. Let's get him.
Maybe we can get him for like a mini episode for next week or something like that. That'd be real.
That would be
cool.
Amazing.
He might have the same answer that he can't do. So for those of us, people who don't know, we did reach out to try to get Greg onto this podcast. But the answer you were given was that like technically both Volume 1 and Volume 2 are still rough cuts, so they're not doing press.
Yeah, technically this is a work in progress, which I did see they tweeted that as well just recently. So. That. Yeah, so that is being put out there that these are in fact rough cuts, even though I think when they first started promoting that these screenings were going to happen, they did not say that, but now they're saying that. But that's cool. I mean, I'm interested to see how it's going to change once it comes down the road. And they did say that the opportunity might be there for us to talk to someone associated with this. So I'm hoping that can happen.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And as far as it being a rough cut, I do think that there is room for a little bit of cutting to make this a little bit tighter and really make it something awesome, because it really is a pretty freaking good movie. Just like the first one, I thought was surprisingly a good movie. This one too, they're very watchable movies. I just thought this one was a little long.
Yeah, being snappier would help. Unfortunately, there's really nothing they can do about the film quality, which I think is the biggest, like, oh, this is like very apparently. But man, if these are not rough cuts, they gotta fire their fucking sound mixer. Both this one and the last one. Mark Damon is not doing his job keeping the sound mixer in line. There's like one very specific moment when like Uncle Rico is reliving his college days, and like before he finishes his sentence, the like depressing sound cue kicks in, and if you're not like reading his lips, you don't know what the second half of that sentence was like. And there were a few moments like it, and I like, on one hand, sure, if fucking Christopher Nolan can do it with Dunkirk, then
Christopher Nolan does not have a good sound mixer.
He does it on purpose. So, and like, on one hand, like, if I'm gonna say that he's my favorite director, I apparently have to tolerate that. But if I won't tolerate it from him, I'm probably not gonna tolerate it from Justin McGregor. Or I think that was
I'm almost ready to put Justin McGregor above Christopher Nolan on my list of favorite directors.
I don't know if he's done it.
Just because I'm annoyed with Christopher Nolan right now fair. Because of how much I just like.
I think that's everyone's relationship with Christopher Nolan. Is like, even the people who really like him, they're like a little annoyed by him. This film brought to you by Westworld Season 2, produced by Jonathan Nolan.
So, to wrap this all up, I did have one last thing I wanted to talk about. We kind of mentioned it before we started recording.
Okay.
It's really very unclear about the whole tied to the handcuffed to the spiral staircase scene. When is that happening? What the hell is happening there? I'd love to hear your theory, and I want to give you my theory.
Okay, so I guess to work backwards from this, I'm trying to recall, did Tommy ever actually take... I don't think Tommy's face was ever actually visible in any of the Saw scenes, right? Because
well, it was at the very end when he takes the mask off the last time, but it's also only a tight shot. So you don't see him and Greg in the same shot.
So he takes off the night helmet and he puts on the Greg mask, and then he takes off the Greg mask and it's Greg underneath. And then later on, they do show actual Tommy. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember.
So I'm definitely thinking that whole framing device was probably added in after the fact, like you said. They show syringes implying that he like drugged him or something. But so I guess if I had to explain how I would think this happened, would be the lovely scene of Tommy and Greg holding hands, walking away from the ranch while Greg is still in his fucking handcuffs for no reason. Then they get in the car, and like Tommy awkwardly shoves him in the car like a criminal for no real reason, even though they're buddy-ish at this point. Then he drives him back to the house that Human Centipede was filmed in, and then he says, "Excuse me, I'm going to take your handcuffs off and re-handcuff you to a spiral staircase, and then I'm going to lecture you about when life gives you lemons for a while, and we're going to recap everything we both already know, and then I'm going to buy you a house." Like, I have no fucking idea. Like in my mind, that's the steps that happened, because those are the steps that the camera shows us. So,
okay, you ready for my theory? Okay, my theory is much, much, much darker.
This is all like Greg dying, imagining this? Okay, cool.
No. It is that is what happens in
the house,
Greg's childhood house that Tommy buys him.
I'm okay
that
with that.
The movie, you think it's ending as a happy ending with him getting his house, but actually, as soon as they go inside, Tommy ties him up.
I would love that, except Greg does ask who Malmo is while he's tied to the spiral staircase.
But Son of a bitch!
I was so ready to be on board with this. I was so ready, but I'm like 90% sure he says like, just fucking tell me who Malmo is, man. Like at around the point where
I think you're right.
Gives up,
yeah.
Like,
damn it! I was so
really
up for this dark ending.
Oh man! And then if we rewatch it,
so
we got to
dark.
try double check because presumably the guy who was tailing them was Tommy, but I definitely thought it was
I think it was
a different face than the cop mask, and it seems really weird that they would spend so much time showing us all the other masks that he would then be wearing one they didn't show. And maybe it was a really tinted window, so maybe I just wasn't noticing the beard.
Yeah.
But I definitely thought I remember, because originally my guess had been that it was the fat guy from behind the counter at the locksmith shop. But I very distinctly remember being like, oh, the guy wearing the sunglasses in the car tailing them seemed more clean shaven than him, and the cop was less clean shaven than him. So
I mean, I just think he has a lot of different masks, and like, yeah, they didn't really set it up, but like, he's got lots of masks, so he could have just done another one plausible, for that scene.
But to me, that just screams deleted scene or something, because they make a pretty big deal.
There's a lot of,
but they do make a pretty big deal about providing justifications for every mask he has.
Sure, that's true.
So that's why that seems weird to me. That if it's not the cop mask, why is it another mask? We should probably watch this again before we get someone from the movie in it.
I know. I hope that we get the opportunity to see it again, because I was really hoping I'd be able to see Volume 1 again before I saw Volume 2.
Trying to summarize.
Hopefully they get this thing out.
Anyone listening to this, you do not have to have seen Volume 1 to see Part 2. And if you're okay with not treating it as a successor to The Room, it gives you everything you need. But interestingly enough, it makes Part 1 seem like a very different movie based on the clips it takes from Part 1.
Yeah, they're very different.
And it shows clips from Part 1 in a context of Part 2, and it makes it seem like Part 1 is also this like gritty psychological thriller, when in reality that's like a third of Part 1.
I'm not entirely sure if I agree with you that you don't need to have seen Part 1.
I did see it with people who didn't see Part 1, by the way.
Yeah, because like, yes, it is its own movie 100%, and it would work as its own movie, I think, but it's like, I think
it just changes the dynamic.
It would have to be pretty fucking weird, like pretty fucking like confused about some things. But yeah, maybe it just changes the dynamic.
Yeah. Like, that's a big part of it, is most of the stuff they leave out as they don't explain or they don't reference from Part 1. Is stuff it's like, oh wow, like this plot point isn't like the fact that they were selling gold pieces and he's in mortuary, that's not relevant anymore. You don't actually need to know that for this really one. Not. You don't really need to know how they got the money. You just start this movie and you assume it's a movie about a guy who robbed his, like, you think it's a different movie than it is, but it is a movie that works on its own, is a better way to put it, I would say. Like you would misguess what Part 1 was about, but it still works without seeing Part 1. I don't recommend doing that, but it does. And if we're trying to stay on Greg and Tommy's good side and stuff, we should obviously be pushing people to go see this movie.
So, there we go. Oh man, so this was a very fun one to talk about. Any final closing remarks?
I should probably make up an Everything's a Cloverfield to plug it right now, but I think we're just kind of like it's like midnight right now, and we're just emotionally and spiritually drained. This movie, like I'm still processing the movie in the back of my head while we're talking about it, and I'm pretty sure you are as well. And if you guys see Best Friends Volume 1 and 2, keep an eye out for that again. Tweet at Greg, tweet at Mark, tweet at Uncle Rico.
Let them all know that we want them on our show. We want to do a mini episode to follow this up, like around the time when
we absolutely want to cover this more. We don't want to burn bridges with these guys. I think we've met most of them before in some capacity, and we'd love to see them keep doing movies. So if like all 3 of our fans could get on board and tweet at my grandma doesn't have Twitter and she's one of our 4 fans, so we're done.
Damn it.
But anyone else, tweet at those guys, and let's try and make some magic happen for Best Friends Volume 3 with Craig Sestero as Batman and Tommy Wiseau as the Joker and Mexican Rapist as Two-Face. Crazy Uncle Rico as Bane because he's jacked AF. That girl was super Catwoman. We don't even need to explain that one.
Of course, absolutely.
I guess crazy locksmith guy is probably like the Riddler or something. I don't know.
Oh, wouldn't the bed and breakfast guy be Alfred?
I would love. Can we just talk about how much better if every time Michael Caine in the Dark Knight trilogy walked away from Christian Bale under his voice, he just went bitch, like, or how would Michael Caine pronounce bitches, like? But if every time Master Wayne, I guess we'll see you now, bitches.
That was such a fun episode to do. Tommy Wiseau, Greg Sestero, please make another movie, and also please come be on the show. I would love so much to talk to you guys and run these particular puzzle pieces by you and see what you think of what we are suggesting was in your minds when you were coming up with this stuff, because such a fun movie. Yeah, just craziness, you know. But we really did enjoy it, and we really enjoyed making this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure that you are subscribed to the show on whatever your podcast app of choice is. And speaking of which, we are now on Stitcher. So that's another place where you can subscribe to the show. So pretty soon we're going to be on everywhere, and then you have no excuse. You got to just subscribe, right? But also make sure you leave a review, rate us, and send us some feedback. And also make sure to check out piecingpod.com for all the new episodes, for a bunch of other stuff. We're going to be doing some giveaways pretty soon. A lot of cool stuff coming in the future here now that we're back on track, making new episodes and everything. I also wanted to mention a couple of quick things before we close this up. Piecing It Together was recently featured on the 25 podcasts you should be listening to right now on Soapbox. So thank you so much to them for that, because that was completely unexpected and really, really cool. Also, I was just a guest on the Rockin' Comedy Show on Radio Vegas Rocks, and I want to thank them for having me on. There's a link on the website for how to go check that out. I talk about my music. I talk about Wax Trax Records, and I talk about these podcasts. So it's a fun show, and it was a great conversation. So definitely check that out. All these links are on piecingpod.com or on our Facebook page. So yeah, I think that's about it. We've got 2 more episodes that we're recording this week. So like I said, we're trying to get right back on track and get a whole bunch of new episodes out there for you. But again, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for the support so far. We got so much more coming soon. We're really enjoying doing the show. Leave us some feedback. We want to know how you're liking it. We want to know if you did get a chance to catch Best Friends Volume 2 in the 2 screenings that Fathom Events put on. Let us know what you thought of it. Let us know if you think we're right with these movies that we think inspired it. Let us know if you think we left something out. And if you didn't catch it, I'm sure there's going to be screenings coming up at some point at a city near you. So definitely go check it out, and we will work on getting those guys to be on the show when the DVD Blu-ray comes out, because I would love to make that happen. So again, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.